Welcome to ArkCase. Today we're going to show you an overview of ArkCase 3.1. We're going to first start on the dashboard. As you can see here on the dashboard, you have many different widgets. These widgets can be configured to best fit your business requirements. As you can see here, there are many different types of widgets. You have table form, you have line charts, and you even have different bar charts and pie diagrams and things along those lines. Additionally, you'll notice starting at the top left of the screen, we have what's called Global New. The Global New menu allows you to create a new object, whether the object is a complaint, a case, a task. And once again, this is a configurable option. It could be a correspondence, it could be a FOIA request, it could be an HR case. It just depends on your business requirements, but fully configurable in ArkCase 3.1. As you can see here, you also have person and organization. These are two modules that allow you to track all of your person information and organization information that can be utilized on other objects like complaints or cases or any other configured object. Additionally, at the top you have a simple search. This leads directly into the advanced search. And we also have internationalization, which allows you to modify the language in which you're viewing your user interface. On the left-hand side, you do have your profile information, you have your preferences, and you actually have a help that links you out to the help guide, and then obviously log out. On the left-hand side, you do have your navigation to your different modules, and you'll notice as we move through these modules, you can see what the paradigm ultimately looks like. You have a complaints module that shows information, all of your complaint names, and the details associated with those complaint names. As you can see on the right hand side, you have global information. Some of these fields are actual inline editing, so you can actually change the information and save it. You also have a unique ID, and this is a configurable unique ID. You also have some elements that you can actually update through configuration. For instance, the actual type of the object, and once again you can have a list of many. You also can assign to a group or a group and a user. If it's not assigned to an actual specific user, anyone in that group can claim this individual object and work on it. You'll notice also we have action buttons, so you can subscribe to this, which will be following all the events associated. You also see all the details. So let's add some of the details. We can add detailed information. Go back to the actual overview page, and you'll notice now, real time, we have updated information on the actual details and who actually added the information. Once again, there are a lot of different types of tables associated. We've looked at details. You can add different locations. You can add, obviously, people or organizations associated, and those lead you right back into the people and organization tables or modules. You also have full document management, whether you're actually adding a document, editing a document, so I can add a folder and I can add folders on subfolders. I can also add documents, new documents, and this can be a configured list of different documents and where you're actually getting them from. And then you also have the ability to add a correspondence. And we'll talk about correspondence templates in a later demonstration. You also have the ability to send an email from here. You can either select an actual individual document and email it if you decide to do so. And you also have the ability to zip it up. Some of the other document management features are online editing, offline editing, copying and pasting, moving around to different folders in your folder structure. And then if you have a records management component, you can declare these as records and change them from active to an actual record, so they're locked down. But we'll share some more on document management in a later video. Additionally, you do have participants. This is how you lock down or give access to individual groups or users. You have notes associated to this object, and then also tasks, whether they're automated tasks. This happens to be a review task that's automatically generated per the configured workflow. And once again, you can have many different automated tasks to different users or different groups, so different users can actually claim them. You do have the ability to reference other objects in the system, whether it may be a different file, whether it is a different complaint or object in this case. As you can see here, you can see the associated history to the individual object. Once again, all of these values and labels are fully configurable. You can link an actual time or cost sheet directly to a complaint. This will allow you to track from the cost and time module on the left-hand side all the time and cost used or utilized against this specific complaint. Time that you worked overtime or cost associated with travel time to work on this specific complaint. Once again, if you decide not to use those individual functionalities like time and cost, you can restrict them, and I'll show you how to do that a little bit later in this demo. Additionally, you do have the ability to create tags on each individual object. And then you have an actual shared calendar for this complaint. You can add events associated, things along those lines. And we'll get into details about that in a later demo on actual calendar configuration. And then you actually have reviewing of the actual complaint, and you can actually set up ad hoc reviewers at any time as part of the overall workflow. Moving into the case module, you'll notice it has the same paradigm. You'll notice here when the actual page loads, the information is very similar to the actual complaints module, but the metadata is just a little bit different to show you a different representation of what can be done in these different object modules. Once again, all of the actual individual icons are at the bottom, or you can use the tree to jump through the actual sections. Moving into the task module, you'll notice that the task module, once again, follows the same paradigm, but it's a little bit different in the actual metadata that's shown, and it also has a link directly back out to the parent object. So for instance, this review task is linked directly to the handmade complaint. You also can see the process diagram associated to the actual workflow. This has a single step with a decision, but if you ultimately had multiple steps, it would show you where in the overall process you are. The people and organization, once again, follow the same paradigm, and you'll notice here that the information, you have different sets of metadata associated to people and organization. Once again, these all can be tracked and linked back to individual complaints or cases or any other object type that you're trying to track. Moving into the documents module, this is a sandbox where you can create policy documents, where you can create training videos. Once again, these are just another location where you can actually store some of the information you're looking for. My Documents is very similar to Documents in the fact that you can, as the user that's logged in, have all of your own documents that you're not sharing with anyone. The My Documents module can be shared with other folks within the system. This would be more of Anne's personalized sandbox of documents or training videos or whatever it may be that she's trying to work on. The search module, as you can see here, is an advanced search, and you can search across all metadata. I'm just going to do a quick test search. You can see that it has type ahead. And when we go ahead and look, you'll notice that we have facets that come back. If I want to remove those facets and give you a little more of a better view, you can do that. You also can collapse the actual navigation. If I wanted to narrow down my actual facet search, I could do that. And if I wanted to look for a specific closed, maybe I wanted to look for a specific case file, and I can see now I found the record that I'm looking for. This is specifically a task within the case file, and I can either hyperlink out to that if I'd like to do so. Once again, the ability to go back to the original results by unclicking the actual facets. All of these individual facets are just categorizations that can be utilized and can be configured within the application. The reports module, this is the static reports module. As you can see here, we have some canned reports that are out of the box and available. And I'll go ahead and just run this for a couple of days just so you can see what the report looks like. As you can see here, the report is generated in the standard report generation, which is table form. You also have the ability to have canned reports that are bar charts, pie charts. You can represent the data in many different ways. Once you actually configure these reports and they're here available in ArkCase, you do have the ability to run them and export them in many different output types. You also have the ability to show them as an XML if you decide to do so by clicking the checkbox. The notification module is very similar to the search module in the fact that it has the same look and feel. You'll notice that it's a predefined search for you, and the reason that is because notifications are any tasks that are associated to the user that is logged in. So these tasks that are associated with the user logged in means that these are events or tasks that need to be worked on by the user that is logged in. So you have an actual full registry or history of all the events you're supposed to be working on. And you can narrow down the facets according to how you want to narrow down the facets. You do have the ability to purge these events from the admin console. Subscription is very similar. Subscription actually is an automatic search. This would be anything that Anne, who the user that is logged in, can actually subscribe and see the events associated. So if I wanted to subscribe to a specific object, like a complaint, a case, or a task, I would see any events that are happening associated. The tags module also gives you the ability to search on any categorized tags. Tags can be added to any object, whether it's a complaint, a case, a task, a document. So we'll go ahead and start typing in a tag. And as you can see here, I've got quite a few different tags, and I'll go ahead and perform that type ahead search. You'll notice that you can filter down, and you can actually jump out to that location. The cost tracking and time tracking module, once again, are very similar. They are specifically tracking cost or time associated to the individual object that they're tied to. So in this case, you can see that we have hours tied to this case file, and there are 5 hours that are actually charged to 6/26/2017. Once again, the actual paradigm with the actual information associated to the individual tables are there on the actual tree or in the icons here on the bottom. If I continue to scroll down, we also have an audit module, very much similar to the canned reports module, but this is all system audits. So I can go ahead and I can select a specific object, or I can actually just search across all for today and actually pull back all the system events associated. As you can see here, there are many different pages. You can page through these individual results, or you can jump to a specific page by selecting the actual page you want to select. You'll notice that all of these different events have a date and time stamp, what user actually initiated this specific event, whether it was a user or a system event, and what IP address it actually came from. We also have a data analytics module. As you can see here, the data analytics module, when it loads, has a lot of features associated to it. And we won't spend a lot of time here, but you do have the ability to create your own ad hoc reports, your own ad hoc graphs, bar charts, pie diagrams, things along those lines that can be drilled down into. This can be actually an ad hoc way of generating reports associated with all the metadata that is collected throughout the process. Very similar to the actual data analytics, we have log analytics, which will run very similar ad hoc reports against all of your logs in the system. The last module we have is the admin module. This is where all the configuration is. As you can see here, we have a lot of configuration. Everything from security and access to the overall functional access control, driven through your organization hierarchy, which is synced with LDAP. You also have the ability to add users, remove users, create your own new ad hoc groups or LDAP groups, and then tie them directly to your functional access control. Everything in the application for ArkCase is role-based access control, tying individual roles to the actual groups. And then from there, you can create your own roles and dictate the privileges associated. So you can edit an existing out-of-the-box role or create your own new role. We'll show you how to detail and do a lot of that work in a very specific video. You also have the ability to add specific roles to an overall module. So if you don't want to narrow down to an individual select privileges, you can give all privileges in each individual module. Just a quicker way to do it. You have a lot of other configuration around calendar configuration, who actually gets emails, what user account gets emails and can work off of actual calendars. You also have calendar actual credentials. You do have the ability to dictate how emails are sent and what type of emails can be sent. Can they be sent through SMTP? what's the server information and configuration around that. You can also generate your own email templates to send out emails with static text that can ultimately be modified at any time. You also have the ability to modify some of the information. Currently, we have this configured with Microsoft Exchange configuration, as you can see here. You do have the ability to navigate and allow different user groups and roles to have access to individual dashboards or reports. You also have the ability to create your own forms within the system. This will be a complaint or a case or task form, or even a time and cost form. You're able to modify those through configuration. Additionally, you do have the ability to create workflows within the actual workflow engine. And we're not going to go into the details of building out a workflow in today's demo, but as you can see here, we have a lot of different workflows that are then essentially tied to our rules spreadsheet that allow you as a user to ultimately tie the individual workflow to actions within the system and dictate what that actual workflow will do and how that workflow is kicked off. We also have label configuration. This is tied directly to internationalization, but you can change all the labels within the system. As you can see here, there's quite a few labels, and we have them broken down in different modules. So you can change the labels from every single module to fit your business requirements. Some of the other things we have available, we have the audit history. We talked about purging audit history. You do have the ability to change your logos and add any custom CSS that you'd like. And then we also have the correspondence templates, which we talked about. The correspondence templates are utilized in the document management system, and we'll show that in a later demo. So overall, as you'll notice here, ArkCase 3.1 has a lot of tools in its toolkit. Everything from global navigation, to dashboards, to searching, to reporting, and even data analytics. You also have the ability to track your workflow and all your different documents, whether you're tracking just the documents or you're moving them into a records management plan. But overall, there are many different components associated to ArkCase 3.1. Hope you enjoyed this demo and come back again for later demos that we're going to do. And as you'll see, you have a lot of configuration that can actually be done in ArkCase 3.1.